Hi, this is your host, Daniel Gutierrez with Awakening to Abundance. I'd like to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Elisabeth Fayt. Elisabeth Fayt is a well-respected entrepreneur and founder of R&R Wellness, a successful Canadian chain of wellness spas. Elisabeth has traveled the world working alongside global business leaders, studied over a decade with the masters in India, is a best-selling author and featured teacher in the Opus movie, and regularly appears on TV and radio. Elisabeth attributes her success to having a strong spiritual foundation. Her profound message bridges the gap between spirituality and business, illustrating how you can practice implementing spiritual principles in the material world. Today you will discover spirituality made practical, how you can bring instant success, how to receive abundance beyond measure by really connecting to the source, practical examples on how to have the right attitude, and how to recognize your highest purpose. Over the next 60 minutes, you will encounter guided exercises to connect you to the source and to gain greater understanding of abundance through spiritual leadership. Elisabeth, thank you for joining us on the call. Welcome to the call.
It's always great to work with you, Daniel.
You're one of my favorites. I'm so excited about today. So, listen, before we get going on this incredible journey with you over the next hour, could you take just 2 or 3 minutes and share what you believe to be the major turning points that have allowed you to manifest the level of success you have today?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that we all, in order to climb to success, we need to hit rock bottom. and often we look and we say, oh my gosh, where am I going? And I always rejoice when I see someone ready for rock bottom because I know what lies ahead for them. And for me, that came at the age of 30 when I lost my relationship, my business, even my self-esteem, everything. I had nothing. I didn't even have God or spirituality at the time. And it was then that I found a book by Paramahansa Yogananda called Where There Is Light. And that book just spoke to me. It was everything. I said, this is truth. Finally, I've grasped onto truth. This is what life is, the meaning and purpose and why I'm here. And so for me, Daniel, it started a journey of studying with all the teachings of the masters. I also started then to work with the billionaire at the time and started an amazing journey of traveling the world. And every bit of that, from that moment forward, has given me the success that I reap today, really. And it was being at rock bottom that started the journey.
Isn't that true that from rock bottom there's only one place to look, right? Up.
That's right. Yeah. So it really isn't that bad.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that human nature has us have to get there before we realize where our true source comes from.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now I know you like to start things out. I've heard you speak many times. I've had the pleasure of interviewing you. You like to start out with some sort of meditation. You want to do that today?
Mm-hmm.
Let's
yeah,
do that.
I think it's really important. Connecting to Source is really, really important. And today, Daniel, I'm going to say God, Source, Universe. I'm going to use all those terms. For anyone who's listening, just grab onto whatever term is comfortable for you. So now, I'd like to do a guided meditation. Many people don't know what meditation is. Really what it is, it's connecting to Source, connecting to God or the source of all abundance. And often, we don't make that connection because of 2 reasons. Our mind is wandering and our heart's not in it. So those 2 things. So in order to focus the mind, we focus the eyes under our closed eyelids, so close your eyes. We focus the eyes at the point between the eyebrows. And that helps us concentrate and focus the mind because focus is so important. If the mind wanders, you're not connecting. Now we engage the heart by wanting to be here, by wanting to be with the master that created the universe. When you think of the universes upon universes whirling in space and you put your heart in it and say, I want to sit and be and learn from and connect with and feel the vibration of that being that created it all. So our heart's in it by being excited about meditating, and our mind is focused by focusing at the point between the eyebrows. And so now we just sit. And we sit and focus at the point between the eyebrows. And now let's just take a few deep breaths and start to calm the mind. And in this meditation, we're going to receive some gifts. In every meditation, we receive gifts. But this one will be focused on 4 separate gifts. So let's just put the mind in a place of, think in the world how often it is that we don't feel loved. We feel that someone has done us wrong, perhaps, or someone hasn't given us the love we want. I want you now to connect to the source of all love and just feel that connection and know that you are completely loved. You are loved at the deepest soul level. God is as close as you will bring him. He is beating your heart. He's closer than your heartbeat. So imagine the lover of the universe is loving you right now, and accept that gift of love. This love is unconditional. Doesn't mean you have to be anything or do anything or have any level of success in the eyes of the world. You are loved exactly as you are. And now the next gift. How often do we feel confused? We're at a crossroads and we don't know which way to go, which decision to make. Should we buy this? Should we not? Should we be with this person? Should we not? When we connect to the source of all wisdom, we receive that wisdom, that guidance. So now connect and just, you can pre-pave or say this affirmation, I am guided. I now am open to the guidance of the Master of all wisdom. Now when we meditate, we don't want to think about a specific issue or question, but so when we receive the gift of wisdom, we say it in a very open way to say, I am guided. I have the gift of wisdom from the Master of all wisdom. And as I go through my day, the wisdom that I need and the guidance that I need comes to me easily. So there's a trust and an acceptance, and we receive this gift easily. It is our birthright. And now we move on to the next gift of abundance. It is our divine nature. It is our divine birthright to be abundant. So if you're out in the world and you're struggling, you're not connected to Source, the source of all abundance. So we sit here with our hearts engaged and our minds focused, and we receive the gift of abundance. And the words we can say inwardly to ourselves are, I am sustained. The God who created me sustains me. My needs are met now and always. I am always cared for. My God sustains me. Everything I need comes to me easily. And the last gift we'll receive today is the gift of peace. Our lives can be chaotic, and things can move so fast. We are in such a fast-paced world right now. But believe it or not, we choose the chaos because we have just the equal opportunity to choose peace when we connect with who we really are, when we connect with the source of all peace. Engage your heart, engage your mind, fully focused, and now be in a place where you are open to accept peace. God is more willing to give you peace than you are willing to accept it. We choose the chaos. If you really looked at your life, you've often chosen the chaos. You're now being given the opportunity to choose peace. Your heart is engaged. You are enthusiastic to be here. You're enthusiastic to be connecting with the source of all peace. You are choosing peace. And so now let's sit in a moment of gratitude for the 4 gifts that we've received. And let's solidify these gifts with some inward dialogue like this. I am loved. I am loved as I am. No change is required. I know who I am, and I know that I'm a powerful being, a spark of the Creator. I am guided. The Creator knows all, past, present, and future. I am one with the Creator, therefore I have that wisdom inherent within me. Everything I need to know about my life and which way to go forward is already within me. I need only to quiet my mind and tap into my soul guidance. I am guided. I am sustained. The God that created me sustains me. Everything I need comes to me easily and effortlessly. I am a spark of the source of all abundance. What God has, I have. I connect to that source and receive. I am peace itself. Peace flows through every part of my life. It flows through my thoughts. It flows through the words I choose. It flows through everything I do. Whether I'm doing it swiftly, quickly, or slowly, I am doing it with God's peace. I choose peace because that is my nature. I am grateful for these 4 gifts, and I set my intention that I will carry these 4 gifts out into the day with me today. And I will spread these gifts to others. Everyone that I meet today will receive these gifts as I have received them. And now slowly just bring your consciousness back to your breathing. Breathe. And breathe. The heart is engaged. The mind is at the point between the eyebrows, focused. And smile. Because a smile changes your vibration immediately. Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to end a meditation. And so you've set your intention now. You've received 4 amazing gifts. This is like winning the lottery. It's better. But I tell you what, you have to buy a ticket. You have to connect. You have to connect, Daniel, to get the gifts. That's the key. That's the ticket. We want abundance.
I love what you said earlier about if you're struggling, you're not connected to Source.
It's exactly what it is. You know, we have 2 states of mind. You know, we might think the mind is so complex and there's this and that and hundreds of different states of mind. We really only have 2, Daniel. You're either in resistance or you're in surrender. Resistance is not connected. Surrender is connected. Surrender is you're aware of your connection because we're always connected, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's just say this because this is important. You can't be apart from God. He created you. You're like a finger of His hand. You cannot disconnect yourself, but you disconnect your awareness of it. So when we say connected or not, that's what we're talking about, our awareness. But surrender is when you are aware of your connection, you're connected. Resistance is when you feel you're going it alone.
I love that. So what exactly, let's just kind of jump in. I really appreciate that meditation because it kind of sets the tone for the rest of our time together. Mm-hmm. What exactly is spiritual leadership?
Well, spiritual leadership has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with position. I have a 5-year-old son who is a spiritual leader. He teaches all his classmates about the afterlife and what's going on and really what happens to your bodies. You know, I get all these mothers saying, my son wants to learn from your son. Now, spiritual leadership has nothing to do with age, has nothing to do with position. It has nothing to do with outward knowledge, what degree you have or what kind of education you have about worldly things. Spiritual leadership, Daniel, is one thing. It's right attitude. And I'd love to share a story that really teaches practically what right attitude is. And I said this on stage with you when we were in California.
Long Beach.
Just recently, Long Beach, yeah. And this is a true story about a woman who decided to go on a rock climbing trip. She took, actually it was like an 8-week course. And so she studied with her teacher and the classmates, and they were learning all the equipment and everything. finally was the day where they went on their excursion. This was the very first time she'd ever gone up, and she lives in California. They were rock climbing on rocks close to you, and on the very first day, she had all the equipment. She was a little nervous. She'd never done this before, so they were about halfway up, and she was sort of grabbing her footing. All of a sudden, she slipped a little bit, and her contact lens popped out of her eye. And, of course, she can't see very well, and so this was very disheartening for her because she was already off balance. And so this was very, very difficult, and she could hardly keep her balance as she was going up. But this woman was a very spiritual woman, and so she immediately started to pray to God. And she didn't really even know what she was saying. To help find her lens, I mean, it almost seemed impossible. So she just prayed for balance. She prayed to God for help. She just connected. She just connected to Source and said, God, help me. Didn't matter what the help looked like. She just said, help me. And she kept going on up, and she tried to motion to the guide and got as close to the guide as possible. And they got all the way up to the top, and it was almost a miracle that she got to the top. This is how imbalanced she had felt. She explained to the guide what had happened, and the guide said, no problem, listen, I'll stay very, very close to you, so we'll go down together. And so they started their descent, and as they had been about a third of the way down, exactly where she had lost her contact lens, all of a sudden there was another group of hikers that they saw over several feet. And one of the hikers leaned over, yelled over to her, to the group, did anyone lose a contact lens? Now, she started to pour tears out of her eyes. She just felt, oh my goodness, what's happened here? My God has answered my prayers. And the man made his way over to her, and sure enough, there was the contact lens, and he handed it to her, and she put it back in, and she had her vision back, and she was so grateful. And the man he said to her, I really have to share with you what happened here. He said, all along, I haven't even looked down at my shoes, but when I was just at this point here, I looked down at my boots, and my hiking boot was untied. So I bent down to tie my shoe, and there was this ant crawling across my shoe, carrying your lens. And the woman just started to bawl again. She was just crying, and she just saw the divinity in this, and she was just so grateful. And so she made it down safely, of course, and again, this really strengthened her spiritual path and her connection to God. And she went home and she told her father the story, who was a famous cartoonist. And he drew a little picture scene of this, and he drew the picture of her going up, etc., and everything that happened. And the last scene was the picture of this, a big enlarged picture of this boot with a shoelace untied, and this ant going across carrying this big glass sphere. And the caption said, Dear God, I don't know why you have me carrying this. It's 10 times my body weight, and I can't eat it. I don't even know where I'm going with it. But for you, God, I will carry it. Mm. And so we have to understand, just take a look at our own lives. God has our back. The universe has our back. But we have to connect. If we're in resistance and we think we're going it alone, well, guess what? Life will seem like we are going it alone because we're not connecting to that source. We don't have the hose up to that source that is willing to provide us with immediate relief from pain, immediate relief from insecurity, her going up there and feeling very unbalanced. She prayed, she got it right away, literally within an hour. Can you imagine? Mm. Now, do you think that would have happened had she not prayed? Daniel, what do you think?
No,
that,
yeah. She was connected. You share something, and I don't remember how it goes, but it's something about Wi-Fi. What's your statement about?
Oh, okay. Okay, now I have to remember this. I haven't said
this in so long. It's like the best wireless connection?
Oh, okay. Yes, my mother came home. My mother came home wearing this great T-shirt. I made her take it off right away. No one was around. But it said, I need this T-shirt. It said, prayer, the world's greatest wireless connection.
There you go. I love that because it's so true.
It is. You see, because each one of us, we're all connected to something. We're connected to our BlackBerries and our iPads and our iPods, and we're connected. And I'll tell you, each one of those things has an energy and a vibration to it. Mm. Each one. And whatever you are connected to, you have that vibration. You want to be connected to your BlackBerry with its ringing all the time? I'll tell you what, you are connected to a restless vibration. And then you wonder why you're stressed, you're restless, you're always rushed, and you're and things seem chaotic, because that's what you're connected to. Now, if you would imagine, I think all of these things, I'm a businesswoman, I need these things too. You need them to function. But I never have it with my children. When I'm with my son, I do not have it with me, or it's turned off, or it's in the other room. I do not. It's not. I connect to God, and I connect to Him. And that's why I've nurtured him and his spiritual side, because I'm not connected to the restlessness of these gadgets.
I love that. You talk about spirituality made practical, which I think that the world at large is struggling with. You know, how do we make this practical? Because we seem to want to make it impractical. And you talk about putting an emphasis on bringing instant success. What do you mean by that?
Well, I can really answer it in this way. Everyone that comes to me says, "Oh, Elisabeth, I want to find my purpose." Okay. Well, I can show you practically how to find your purpose and how to bring spirituality into your everyday work life in one short but very powerful story of when I was working for Ron Joyce, the billionaire. And I'm not sure if you heard in my bio that I worked for 10 years as private assistant to Canadian coffee king billionaire Ron Joyce. He was the founder of the largest chain of coffee shops here in Canada. Everyone, I'll tell you, if you're not a Canadian, people go to this coffee shop not once a week. They go 3-4 times a day.
See, there's my test, Elisabeth, to become Canadian. I have to go to Tim Hortons.
I'm going to get you a Tim Hortons gift card, and you're going to have to go.
Oh no!
No! It really is. When they show the Canadian flag, then they'll show the Tim Hortons coffee cup. Like, honestly, it's a Canadian icon. And I worked for this billionaire, and I worked for him for 10 years. Now, I traveled around with him on his private jet. He had businesses and offices and homes all around the world. And it was an amazing experience, if you can just imagine. But he had never had anyone in this position before. And billionaires are a different breed, okay? So you can't even go there. You don't even understand what they're like. But I'll try and give you a little bit of a glimpse. But he had no idea what I would be doing. Now, I ended up working literally 7 days a week, barely got a day off. I was busy managing his business and personal affairs and interests. Now, but the first day he hired me, he said, "I don't know what you're going to be doing, but just do one thing for me." And here he gave me this one-line zinger job description. He said, "Just do one thing for me, add value to my life." He said, "Add value to my life." And that's what I did, Daniel. I wrote in my journal every day, I add value to Mr. Joyce's life. I add value to Mr. Joyce's life. And that brought purpose to my life. That gave me the abundance. I was paid very, very well. Everything that I earned from him, I used to start my company. So everything, just focusing on adding value. I'm not sharing the story about me. Each one of you have the same one-line job description from the universe. God says, add value to my world. Add value to my world. And so I ask you to just think for a moment. Just close your eyes and think. In your relationship, if you have one major relationship in your life, or a couple, or 2 or 3, but think of a spouse maybe, or a best friend, or a child. Think, if I took the focus off, what is my experience of this relationship? I know perhaps we're all over or above the what's in it for me, what am I getting out of it? But that is natural, sometimes human nature. To think that, how am I feeling? What's my experience? What am I getting? What am I getting from this? And how do I feel? Change that to, how can I add value to this relationship? How can I add value to this person's life? I'm telling you, everything in your life will change. You will find purpose. You will find purpose, and you bring spirituality practically right down to where you are. And the same in your business. If you take the focus off the everyday grievances, the complaints, the things that you complain about, the things that worry you, because worry is resistance. When you take your focus off that and you say, how can I add value to my boss's life? How can I add value to my company? How can I add value to my client? Instead of focusing on, okay, what am I charging? Am I charging enough? Am I getting this? How can I add value? I'll tell you something. The money will come. The abundance will come more than you ever expected. And you may think, okay, well, all I focused on was this client and I added value and I got nothing. Okay. The universe is far grander than that. Don't focus on 1, 2, 3. I want you to focus on adding value. And I tell you, the universe will provide, maybe from another client, maybe from an undisclosed source. You may not even know where it comes from, and that's not your job. Your job is to add value. And when you are adding value, I'll tell you something, you are fulfilling God's one-line job description, and He will pay you more handsomely than you could ever ask.
I really, what's interesting about that question, how can I add value to, or how can you add value to my world coming from God, and asking the question, how can I add value to your world, the universe will respond. I think there's we have to be, as you said, in surrender to the opportunity that will present itself.
Yeah.
So that you can do that. What does abundance mean to you, Elisabeth?
Well, the best way that I help people attract abundance is by expanding their vision of what abundance is. Mm-hmm. People pigeonhole it into how much money someone has.
Right.
Or they put a monetary value on it. And it really, when I look at abundance, I look at it as an abundance of love, an abundance of friends or friendship, an abundance of peace. Oh, absolutely, abundance of peace. People don't look at it that way. And so when they're trying and struggling to get more of the financial kind of abundance, they can't feel abundant. They know, perhaps because they've read all the books and they've taken all the seminars and they've done all their work, and they go, okay, I have to feel abundant in order to be abundant. I've got to feel it first. Okay, but I don't feel it, so that's not going to work. So what do I do now? But really I say expand your idea of abundance and feel abundant in whatever area. I have an abundance of hugs from my son. I have an abundance of food in my house. I have an abundance of flowers in my home. I bring lots of flowers in. I have an abundance of love. I have all those things. When you feel abundance, then the monetary abundance comes as well.
And that's a vibration also, right? That's a vibration.
It is a vibration.
Abundance.
Yes.
Gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so the more grateful we are, of course, the more that comes. It's like, God is human. God has become human. He has human qualities. Think of when you give a friend something and they are just all over you. They say, oh, my goodness, it's exactly what I needed, and I'm so grateful. Naturally, we want to give to that person again. If we give to someone and they kind of discard it, they don't say it, or they maybe even acknowledge they think it came from someone else, well, we retract. Well, that's happened before, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But think about God as the giver. Now, He gives to us. Let's say God gives me a greatest blessing, like, oh, I just got this contract, or I just got this amazing opportunity. And then even if I'm grateful to the person who gave me the opportunity on this, the material person, I'm still not getting it. That's not expanding my gratitude enough. I need to expand my gratitude to the divine source. Because otherwise, God will feel like we do when we give and someone else gets the credit. So gratitude alone is not enough. Gratitude alone is not enough. Just to be, I'm grateful because my boss gives me a nice paycheck and he gave me a raise. I'm grateful for that. No. Who gave you the raise? God signs your paycheck. No one else. So when we give our gratitude to the source, we get 100-fold. Because God is just like a father, is just like a mother. When we are grateful to Him and acknowledge Him, God, I know this came from you, and I'm grateful. And I do that. Whenever I get anything, I always go back to the source because I know where it came from. Even when my husband is especially loving or romantic, or that came from God. That isn't him. So also when he's not being exactly what I'd love him to be today, that also came from God because it came to teach me something. And I look and I say, okay, what is that teaching me? What do you want me to learn with this? You see, we also want to be grateful for those things too. And I'll tell you a great story about a master who was sitting on a hill with his students and disciples all around him, and and he was giving him a beautiful speech on spiritual subjects. And right at the end of the speech, they thought he would perhaps pass out some mangoes or some flowers or something, but instead he threw stones at them. And the disciples were appalled. They couldn't understand, and they all started to, run away, and they were disgusted, and they said, "I can't believe that my master would do that." But one lowly disciple gathered up all the stones and he took them home, because he said, "Anything from my master is gold. Anything. It doesn't matter. I take it. I accept it, and I receive it as gold." And he took them home, and he opened up the little basket that he had put them in, the little towel, and sure enough, there were gold nuggets. And this is a true story. And so this is what happens. We have crappy things that happen to us. We've got someone who, dumps something on us, or this happens at work, or this person isn't nice to us, and we feel that these are not gifts. We don't feel very abundant. We don't feel very cherished. We don't feel very blessed. But I say the opposite. I say it's a gold nugget.
I love it.
You're the one
story.
Yeah, but you're the one that turns it into the gold.
Right.
You have to accept it with the right attitude. The right attitude is huge, and that's spiritual leadership.
So what are some of the actions in having that right attitude?
Well, shift of thought. One way you're in resistance is worry. Okay, let's show how we can go from resistance into surrender, because that's kind of what we're talking about here. How to bring spirituality into our everyday life and be practical. When you're worrying about something, you're in resistance. You're going it alone. You think you're going it alone. You're worrying about money. You're worrying about your children. You're worrying about whatever, a deadline, whatever it is. So to move into surrender, you need to move from worry to trust. If you're worried about something, you're not trusting in God to meet your needs. So if you're worrying about money, change your verbiage, change your feelings, change your thoughts to say, "I trust that my needs are met." Go in and connect. Remember the meditation we did at the beginning. Connect again to Source. You see, that is the best way, because God has everything. And if you feel you're going it alone, you really are squandering down here, wallowing, and you've got nothing. The material world is not a very easy to get along place. It's not. That's why I'd never wallow down in the material world. Raise yourself up. Yogananda, who I've studied with for years, he said, and he's no longer in his body, he said, I could materialize myself in front of my devotees, in front of my students, but what would that do? Would it really make them connect with me any deeper? No. He said, they must come to where I am. We have to raise our thought. We have to raise our thought. We cannot expect that if our thoughts are on this material plane, and what am I getting? What am I getting out of this? And worrying about this and worrying about that. If we keep our thoughts on this material plane, we're not reaching where the masters are. We're not reaching the higher thought. If we want abundance, we have to raise our thought. So practically, one way, we move from worry to trust. Very simple. The minute you catch yourself worrying, just say, I trust. And if you say, yeah, but I don't trust, it's not being paid, you know what? You need to allow things to happen. God has his own time zone, his own time limits. But I'll tell you something. Things change for me immediately. I want to share with you a story about the power of prayer. And if you knew the power and effectiveness of prayer, you would do it. And you would do it every day. I was on a silent retreat that I had organized, and I was facilitating it in the mountains about a month ago. And just before I was on my way to the retreat, I was in the car, and I got a text. I wasn't driving, so it's okay. And I got a text, and that text message gave me just bad news. Just, we missed an opportunity because of lack of staffing. It was just one of those things that as an entrepreneur you just don't want to get. And I said, okay, I'm going on retreat. I'm going to surrender this. I'm going to pray on it. There's nothing I can do right now because I'm gone now for 3 days. But I'm just going to surrender it to my meditations. I'm not going to think about it, but at the same time, I'm going to surrender it to God. This weekend, I need your help. This weekend. So I went through my meditations and tried to focus on God, because that's it. You don't go to sit to meditate to think about your problems. You meditate to connect. So I did that. But in between meditations, I would have the opportunity to read spiritual books, and then I also spent some time just reasoning through what are opportunities, because God wants us to help ourselves too. He works through us through our reason, so we reason things out. So I said, okay, God, these are the three solutions I could have. And as I went through these three solutions, I still got very discouraged because I thought, okay, how are these going to be implemented? Are these actually going to work? I started to worry. And immediately I stopped the worry and I trusted, and I said, okay, God. And we had a conversation. I said, if you want me to run this business, because I'm doing it for you, and if you want me to serve these people, you're going to have to help me. And I didn't know how the solutions looked anymore. I put the solutions all out the window. I said, you're going to have to help me. I give it to you. And the next Monday morning, I went to my business, and I didn't sit on the couch and eat potato chips and expect God to take over. But I did. I went and I did the work. I looked through some resumes. I did the work. And it took me about an hour and a half. Not much. I'm not talking days and hours and struggling. I did about an hour and a half of work. I'll tell you, I hired 3 people within the first 5 days, and they're still awesome, amazing, and they're with me now. And my business has tripled in that line. It was one area of my business that was challenging me, and that area has tripled. So I know the power of prayer. I know that God was just waiting for me to ask.
You know, it's interesting, Elisabeth. I had something similar happen recently, and almost in a kind of a joking way. You know, yeah. I was leaving the country, and I had some transfers. You know, sometimes bank transfers do what they want to do. So I was okay, well, I was starting to stress a little bit about, oh, my gosh, I have to be on a plane at 6 in the morning. What do I do? Anyway, so I laid my head down to go to sleep, and I thought to myself, all right, God, angels, you're always saying I don't give you enough work or I don't ask. I'm going to sleep. Could you handle this transfer stuff? And so when I wake up, it's done. And I kind of did it half-heartedly, to be honest with you, and laughing because, like, yeah, right, I'm going to get up and have to deal with it. And sure enough, I wake up in the morning and everything's done. Yeah. Just everything was fixed. And I went, whoa.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Right? But it was kind of trusting. Even though I know some of us that are listening today maybe don't always believe that this is a connection, and you just heard why meditation and prayer is so important and so effective, because, and I want to reiterate something you said that I've never heard before, Elisabeth. Meditation's not to solve your problems, it's to connect.
Yes.
I love that, because if we're focused on the connection, the rest of it is a given birthright, that everything is going to work out, right?
It is. And often a prayer becomes a walk down memory lane, or a prayer becomes a worry session, or a gripe session, because you sit and you pray. People think they don't know how to pray. They don't know how to pray properly. First of all, their mind could wander or the heart's not in it. Remember, those are the 2 things we started off with. To have prayer be effective, your mind has to be focused and your heart's in it, and you connect. And once you make that connection, then you visualize and show God what you need. And then it's done. So what I said is prayer can be to walk down memory lane. I'll give you an example. Dear God, please help Aunt Susie who's got cancer. Oh, gee, I remember the times we had those picnics and weren't they great? And, yeah, that was great memories. And, oh, her brother, I wonder how he's doing. Okay, so do you see how our mind just starts to wander? We start off with sort of an intention to pray for someone, but then our mind wanders and thoughts go in a different direction. Before you know it, it's just chatter. You're not connecting. You're not even thinking of Source. I'm telling you, prayer is so powerful. Just taking the name of God and thinking about God will bring you everything you need. He's just waiting. What do you need, my child? What do you need? I'm here. What do you need? And it's instant. Just like your things were settled instantly, mine was literally, when I gave it to God, I knew, because I knew that I had no attachment. It didn't even matter. If you don't want me to sort this out and you want me to go in a different direction, in fact, a really great affirmation is, if you want to connect and you want to reap abundance beyond measure, is stop exercising your own will and follow divine will. So you can say, you can affirm, thy will be done, not mine. Thy will be done. Because God has a far greater plan than we ever do. And if I try to exercise my own will, you know, the masters say, pray this to God. If I ever try to exercise my own will, disappoint me. if that's what it takes for me to get on track. So I didn't go in this saying, fix my problem. I said, you know what's best for me. I'm doing this business for you. I'm not doing it for anything else, and you're my business partner. So you're going to have to help me and just do what you think is right. And then we also have to be willing to put in the work, because laziness is not spirituality. Laziness
I love
has
it.
no part of spirituality. If you look at any of the masters, any of the saints, anyone in history that was known for making a difference, they're all spiritual, number one. And number two, they worked. They worked. They were not in any way lazy. And we have to remember that God helps those who help themselves. But you know what? It's like when we raise one hand to the divine lowers two to pick us up. So
I love it. So Elizabeth, we have about 15 minutes left here today.
Okay.
Do you have another exercise that maybe we could walk the listeners through right now?
Let me think. Okay, I'm going to tell a story and then we'll lead right into.
Okay.
We'll lead right into it. There was just an afternoon, Sunday afternoon. A father and son were going on a walk, and they just decided to take a lunch with them. And so it was about halfway through their walk, and there was a nature walk, so just gorgeous nature. About halfway through, they decided to sit down and have a lunch. So they're sitting on a park bench, and they're talking and connecting and having a beautiful time. And all of a sudden, the boy, and he's about 8 years old, he says to his dad, Dad, do you see that boulder over there? It's pretty big and looks pretty heavy, but it's just shining in the sun. It's almost glimmering to me, a green and yellow and orange color. He says, I'd like to go over and hug it. Do you think I'd look really funny? And the dad says, No, son, go feel the energy of that stone. And so the boy walked over and he felt the stone and he said, Dad, I really want to pick it up, but it's so heavy, I don't know if I can. And the father seriously looked at him and he said, Son, if you use all your strength, I know you can pick up that stone. And so the son looked at him. He says, Are you sure, Dad? And the dad looked at him very sternly. He says, I promise you, if you use all your strength, you can pick up that stone. And so the little boy was so happy, and he got his footing, and he got his hands around the stone, and he tried, and he started to lift it, but at the very last minute, he just simply couldn't. And there were beads of sweat coming down his forehead, and he was noticeably upset, really disappointed. And he went back to his dad, and he sat on the bench, and he was in tears, and he said, Dad, you lied to me. You promised me I could lift that stone. Because children look up to us. They believe that what we say is true. And the father said to him, he says, I didn't lie to you, son. He says, I told you the absolute truth. I said, if you used all your strength, you could pick up that stone. He said, you didn't use all your strength. You didn't ask me for help. So, you see, we have divine aid just ready for us. And so what I'd like to do is just go close our eyes. Let's connect to that divine aid. And let's bring something in our mind that we need help with. Whatever it is, there's something, just as I had prayed about my business in my silent retreat, bring whatever it is right now. Maybe it's our relationship. Maybe it's our finances. Maybe it's a personal goal that we just haven't been able to manifest. And let's just spend a moment connecting first. Feel God's presence. Feel Him beating your heart. Your heart is engaged. You're enthusiastic to be here. You're enthusiastic to connect. Your mind is focused at the point between the eyebrows. You are focused. You are there. You are not. Your mind is not darting. Your heart is engaged. Your mind is focused. Bring to mind whatever it is that a true need. Try to decipher between a need and a want. Make it a true need of yours right now. I need this. God, I need this. And surrender it to Him. Ask for help. You don't have to see a picture of what that help looks like. we usually don't know what it looks like. And that's the beauty of it. That's part of surrendering, is releasing control. So feel trust. Just feel yourself vibrating in a bubble of trust. God is beating your heart. He's closer than your heartbeat. He knows what you need. You don't even have to explain. He knows. And now just say a little prayer of gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for meeting my need. Show me the steps that you want me to take to help you materially. You can do the spiritual work. I will do the material work. Help me. Guide me. Thy will be done. Guide my will so I'm in tune with your will. And it is done. And now just breathe and open your eyes. And as you go through your day, you've released it. It's done. I'm telling you, it works. Connect many times throughout the day, as often as you need to. And you will find that it will start to become a way of life. And when you start your day and go through the day and end your day all in the consciousness of Source, of Spirit, of God, you will find that everything, you will be reaping abundance, everything you've ever wanted in abundance, in love, in relationships, family, everything will come to you easily and effortlessly. It's not about a grabbing or a sourcing or even figuring out and trying and struggling. It's a mere dropping everything. Drop everything in your hands materially and connect. It's all about connection.
I love it. Elisabeth, I'm curious about what's possible for the people who are listening here today. Can you take a few minutes and just share some of the amazing turnarounds that you've seen people have who have applied what you teach?
Well, I have a couple of stories, actually. One, just quick one. I have a mentorship program, and this one lady, when she started, she's been with me now for 2 years. When she started with me, she was full of problems, issues. I helped her. I showed her the spiritual side, the practical side of everything. Now, on our calls, she is a walking angel. Everything she is connected. She is connected to Source constantly, and her whole life has opened up. She sees everything from a different realm. She's like an angel. She is absolutely a different person. You would not, if you knew her 2 years ago, you would not know what she is like today. And she went through the program that you're going to get an opportunity to buy, the 12 one-hour downloads, and that's what she went through my program. She's a completely different person. And I always applaud her with the team on the phone. I let her know how much I appreciate that she listened to me. She applied what I told her, and that's the difference between her and anyone else. She listened, and she did the work. If you listen to what I'm saying, and if you do this work that I've recommended today, and in the 12 one-hour sessions, you will reap the results. You cannot help it. You will change. You raise your consciousness.
And so, obviously, I get really excited about helping people take control of their life, and there's a lot more that you can learn from Elisabeth, and I know because I've known her for a while. And I've asked her to create a special offer. She's talked about it just a little bit for people who are listening to this call. So I highly encourage you to go to Elisabeth's offer right now and experience it for yourself, and that would be www.awakeningtoabundance.com/energy, and that's ENERGY. Elisabeth, could you tell me a little bit more about what they'll find there?
Well, each one is a 1-hour talk. And so in those talks, a lot of it is telling stories and teaching you things, and each one is a different topic. One is on the law of allowing. One is on the law of attraction. One is on the law of deliberate creation, how to be a deliberate creator, how to pull out all those weeds of negative thoughts that are holding you back from whatever you're trying to manifest. Another one is spiritualizing relationships. Another one is making your dreams come true. Another one is just the art of meditation. So if you want to learn how to meditate, that 1-hour tutorial is just for that. And there are a little bit of exercises in there. Every now and then I'll say grab a pen. We're just going to write a couple of things. But for the most part, it's mental exercises. And in 1 hour, 1 hour is so powerful, you won't want to listen to them too quickly. This will last you months because you're going to want to listen to one, absorb it, practice it for at least a week or two, and then listen to the next one. That's how powerful these 1-hour downloads are. And you can put them, listen to them in your car, on your iPod, or as you're walking or jogging, and they'll raise your consciousness to a higher level. And this is what happens, that when we're living in our material life, we have a realm of thoughts that we can grab from. And those thoughts are the ones that we choose, and the thoughts are everything because they create our life. They create our abundance level. Now, when we raise our consciousness, we have a whole new realm of thoughts to choose from that you had no idea even existed. So that's the importance. So these downloads will raise your consciousness to a whole new realm of thoughts and choices that you never had before. It will change your life beyond measure, beyond you could ever imagine what your life could be like. I really highly recommend these.
And
they're thousands of dollars if you buy them through my mentorship. I mean, getting them for $97 is I can't believe it.
Wow, I love that. And I'm so appreciative that you made this affordable for everybody. What are some of the benefits that people can expect starting right away or over time for, applying these incredible downloads?
Well, right away you're going to change your thought because your thought is responsible for what you have in your life right now. These downloads immediately will change your vibration. And if you want to know what your vibration is just an exact reflection of look at what you've attracted. That will tell you exactly what your vibration is. And if you want to attract something different, you're going to need to change your vibration. So you will change that immediately. Now, just one example, Daniel, is that if anything isn't working in your life, you can bet you have a limiting belief surrounding it, a limiting belief. So one of the very early downloads, download 3, if you want to listen to that first, go ahead. We learn how to pull out the weeds of limiting beliefs so that whatever isn't working in your life, you pull out that weed and it's gone. And that's a really powerful lesson. And that's something that happens immediately, and then you just all of a sudden see things open up that had never opened up before.
I love that. Elisabeth, any final thoughts you'd like to share with everyone before we go?
Well, in our meditation, I was very clear on that. We choose chaos or we choose peace. And I have a poem, Choosing Peace, and I think that I'm going to actually have that somehow available as well to anyone. We'll get it to you. But I also have it available in Spanish and that we can give to everyone. But this is a quote by John Lennon to remind you to choose peace. And it says, and remember, this is from 1960, if everyone demanded peace as they do a television set, then there would be peace. So if everyone would demand peace as they do chaos, there would be peace. So my closing comments is choose peace. Choose abundance. Choose abundance. You've been worrying and choosing lack of abundance. You've been choosing struggle. Choose peace. Choose abundance. Choose love. Everything is in your hands. Choose it.
I love that. All right, folks, so go to www.awakeningtoabundance.com/energy, and that's ENERGY. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Elisabeth. You know I enjoy working with you. I appreciate you, and I look forward to our next call together.
Thanks, Daniel.
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 To our next call together.
Thanks, Daniel.